answer, but you're waiting on everyone to find an answer. So you're thinking and you're ready. Okay. All right. So if you have an answer, either I have an answer or you have multiple. You have an answer or you have multiple.
I'm not really sure. I feel like I have an answer, but I don't.
There's not a wrong answer. So. Okay, so I have an answer or you have multiple. Precious?
I thought that the 2x minus 1 didn't, yeah.
Why?
Because most of them, because like it's supposed to have like the same numbers.
When you say same numbers,
like the numbers, I forgot what it's called. Like the numbers have to be like equivalent. Only the like minus and plus can be different. I think that's what.
Okay, so you're saying this part makes it different?
Yeah, I'm thinking like the numbers. Like I thought like you could only have like the minus and the plus. Yeah, the other number.
Precious, are you talking about greatest common factor?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like when we solve the problems, most of the problems have like the same numbers, but like just different like subtraction and addition.
Okay, so when you are talking about no. When you're talking about solving it, what are you talking about doing?
Like what?
So you're talking about the -1 and the 4 and the 2, like all of those numbers?
Yeah, I'm talking about how.
Really?
Okay. And then we'll go on to the next person in a second.
Like following the rules of practice. That's what I meant. Because you said that most of the time you only have to have like the plus. Like the plus or the minus.
Which notes are those?
The poly. Different squares.
Okay. For difference of squares, they have to be the same. Yes. So you were saying this one wouldn't work because it's not difference of squares, but are all of them difference of squares? Okay. Was anyone, or did anyone have that same thought? Something about maybe difference of squares? Not for that one. Okay. Who else had an answer or had multiple? Franco?
It's down below.
Okay, why?
Variables different.
Okay. Who else had that same thought?
Because all of them are x's and there's one n. So.
Okay. A couple of us. Who had a different, either way that one doesn't belong or a different answer? Julia? Okay. Who else had that same thought? A couple of us. Anthony, do you have a different one? Okay. And then anyone else have a different way one doesn't belong or a different reason? We could. So let's do that. So x times x gives us
X squared.
x times 2, negative 2 times x,
Negative 2x.
and negative 2 times 2.
Negative 4.
Yep, you're right. And then if we combine like terms,
It would just be x squared minus 1.
okay. This one, x squared, same thing,
Well, that was 55.
and then plus x, plus 4x, plus 4. Combine your like terms, what would that give us?
X squared plus 5x plus 4.
Okay. This one, we multiplied everything out. 2x times x.
Good.
Mm-hmm. It's like right on the side. 2x times 4. Negative 1 times x. And negative 1 times 4. If we combine our like terms,
2x squared plus 7x squared.
not squared, just x, but.
X and 4.
Mm-hmm. And then this last one, n times m.
M squared.
M squared. have plus m or plus 1m, minus 4m, and minus 4. Combine those like terms.
M squared minus 3m
Mm-hmm.
minus 4.
That
Also,
was
so the x,
rough.
so the it'll be x plus 4, x plus 1. The bottom left.
Why that one?
Because the rest are minusing 4, well, one is adding 4.
Okay.
That one.
Any others, or did anyone have that same thought? Based on either the original or this, do we have any others that we could find one doesn't belong?
All of them have squared numbers. Unless could. And then it also has another number with an x for a variable like this. Not all of them, but 3 out of 1 of them have it.
So the one without could be the one that doesn't belong because it doesn't have that middle term. So that's, I'm going to go back to what Precious was saying earlier. I think this is kind of what you were talking about. This one has this, so this one wouldn't belong. Whereas the other ones have multiple, if you're multiplying it out, or these have the same and none of the others do. Either of those. Any other reasons? Okay, so I think you guys covered them all. This one doesn't have a middle term. This is the only one with 2's. This one has a 2 and is the only one with a coefficient. This one has m's. If you were talking about after you multiplied out, this is the only one that has 2 negatives. This is the only one that has 2 pluses. The only one that is adding 4 in general. You could say the numbers here are switched compared to the others. All of them are 4 and then 1. So any of those. So that was just to get your brains warmed up, thinking about different things. Let's see. Escape. Right. So before we start these notes for today, I want to mention something that some of you may have seen if you got the progress report over the weekend. If you didn't, you have no idea what I'm about to say. Khan Academies, moving forward, if you've not attempted them, they will not be replaced by the test. So if you don't try them, they're not getting replaced. If you try them, don't do well, I will still replace it. But you have to try them because many of you are not doing them. So even if it's late, you still have to message me, email me, and I will change that grade. If your test grade is higher, I'll still replace it. So keep that in mind. Questions about that? So you should have these notes in front of you. These are the last set of notes on factoring. This kind of combines some of the factoring stuff we've been doing all together. So like GCF, grouping, not really difference of squares here. What we were doing last class, so if you want to take any of those notes out again to kind of help you refer back to, feel free to do that. Because of all those things, we could call this like final boss. Right. I'm going to talk through the rules, the steps first, and then we'll actually apply that to the math. So with these types of factoring, you're going to be given some trinomial, 3 terms, where the number in front of x is not 1, like it was last time. That may be there's a GCF at play, it may not be, it depends. So the first thing we're going to look for is there a GCF? That could just be 1, it could be more than that. We'll look and deal with that, depending on what that answer is. if that doesn't really change anything, we're going to take A and C and multiply those together. You don't have to write that because it's in the steps, but if that helps you, go for it. Figure out what that would be. After you figure out that, you're going to think about the factors of whatever that number is. And of those factors, they have to add to B. So after we get those two factors that multiply to be A and C, add to be B, we're going to take out the middle term and replace it with the two factors we found and the variable. Then we'll have 4 terms instead of 3. So then we're going to do grouping. So it sounds like a lot. It kind of is a lot. So let's do this step by step. So starting with example 1. Does this have a GCF?
No.
No, other than 1. But we're just going to get in the habit of finding if there is one first. So we'll just put that off to the side. Having the GCF of 1 won't change it, so I'm not going to do anything with that. Then we're going to multiply 2 and 3 together. And to kind of help organize our numbers, I'm going to do this off to the side. Draw this X. 2 times 3 would give us 6. So we're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to be 6, but add to be 5. 2 and 3 would work. I'm going to be color coding to try and keep different steps straight. If you would also like to color code, feel free to do that. I have color pencils as well. So positive 2, positive 3. So we're going to rewrite this. The first and the last term are going to stay the same. So 2x squared. Then you're going to put the two factors you found. Does not matter the order. We'll talk more about that in a second. They both have to have an x since this middle term had an x. Plus 2x, plus 3x, and then the last term plus 3. Before we go on to the next step, do we have any questions so far?
This feels like a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So now we have 4 terms. We're going to split the middle. Look for the GCF of the first two.
2. Oh, 2.
2x. If we divide that out of the first two, what's left?
X. Plus 2. I mean, plus 1.
Plus 1. Bring down your sign. Did these two have in common? 3. If we divide that out, what's left? Remember that with grouping, your insides should be the same. So then if your insides are the same, that's one of your factors, x plus 1. And what's the other? You wouldn't write that twice.
2x plus 3.
2x plus 3. So these become one factor. Everything on the outside becomes your second. And then if you wanted to check yourself, you could distribute it. So I'll do that for this one, but I won't do it for the other one. But you could keep doing that. So then x times 2x gives us 2x squared. X times 3 gives us 3x. 1 times 2x gives us 2x. And 1 times 3 gives us 3. Combine your like terms. 2x squared plus 5x plus 3 is the original, so that works. Questions so far?
Are we done after this?
Yes, that's done.
Okay.
Really, this was our final answer. We didn't need to do that stuff. Does go on to the next example. This is example 2, remember GCF? No, other than 1. So write that off to the side. Then we're going to multiply 5 and 6. 30. So two numbers that multiply to be 30 but add to be negative 17. Remember that if you're multiplying to get a positive, you can have 2 positives or 2 negatives. What numbers would work there? And both of them would be negative. So start to rewrite it. 5m squared. I know I wrote it as negative 2, then negative 15, but I know 15 and 5 go together. So if you want to put those together, you can. If you want to put it the same way you wrote it, that's also fine. It will work out the same. So 5m squared minus 15m minus 2m plus 6. Split your middle. What do those first two have in common? 5m. Reconnect this really fast. So if we divide out 5m, what's left? M.
M plus.
Would it be plus and would it be 5 if we're dividing by 5?
And minus 3.
Minus 3. So if we bring down this negative, what could we divide out of those two?
2.
2. So if we divide those both by negative 2, be careful with your signs. What would that be?
And
Minus 3. So then, what would your 2 factors be? So if you want to check that, you can. I am not going to. Questions on that? It is a lot, yes. On to the next example. What is your GCF for that one? For 3?
There's not one.
There's not one other than 1. Multiply 6 and negative 4.
24. Negative 24.
Negative 24. The two numbers that multiply to be negative 24 but add to be negative 5. Remember, if you're multiplying to get a negative, one of your factors has to be negative.
Negative 3 positive 8.
You're close. Would that give you negative 5?
Negative 8 positive.
Okay, so be very careful with those. Rewrite 6y squared. Again, order doesn't matter if you want to keep it as it is or switch them, up to you. I'm going to put plus 3y minus 8y. If you did it the other way, that is okay. What do those first two have in common? 3y. We divide those out. What's left? 2y plus 1. And then what can we divide out of the second two? Negative 4. Which would leave us with not 4y.
2y.
2y.
Plus 1.
Plus 1. given, what would our two final factors be?
2y plus 1 and 3y minus 4.
Correct. Question so far. Yeah, question.
You don't know how to get like the other factors at the beginning. Like, how do you suggest that?
Here, you mean?
Yeah.
Start listing out, like maybe off to the side, write out all your factors, start dividing it in the calculator by 2, by 3, by 4, keep going. You run out of numbers. The closest ones are 6 and 4. So see if anything in between that would work. 5 is not divisible. So 4 and 6 would be your end. Otherwise, do some multiplication practice. That is the only other thing I could say. For example 4, do we have a GCF other than 1?
No.
Just 1. Multiply 12 and negative 5. Negative 60. So two numbers that multiply to be negative 60, but add to be 11. So plus 15c minus 4c, or if you did it the other way, that's fine. Minus 5. What do the first two have in common? 3c. We divide that out, what's left?
4c
Plus 5. Could we divide anything out of the last two?
Nope.
Nope, other than 1. So I meant to do this when we did grouping the first time, but if you can't divide out anything, you can always divide out a 1, or in this case, negative 1. So that would change your signs. And then what would your final factors be?
4c plus 5.
Good job. Questions so far? Look at examples 1 through 9. Find any you want to see, go over, maybe look challenging, maybe you start working ahead and you want to check yourself, any of those. Catherine? 4. Okay, so we'll do 4. Okay. Does this have a GCF other than 1?
Nope.
Nope, it is 1. So multiply 3 and negative 10.
Negative 30.
Okay. So two numbers that multiply to be negative 30. What is the number in front of the W? Negative 1. So two numbers that multiply to be negative 30 but add to be negative 1. Remember, if 1 is what you're looking for, your two factors are going to be really close together, like 1 apart. 0 times what is negative 30? It can't be 0. There's something.
So this is giving
2 times what?
15.
Would, if you made one of those negative and added them together, would they give you 1? Also, the factors have to be 1 apart from each other. Like 2 and 3. Those aren't the factors. I was just giving you an example.
5 and 6.
Yes. Which one would be negative?
5 and
5 or 6 would be negative. Negative 6. I feel like some of you thought that, but were like, no. But yes, it was that. Alright, so 3w squared minus 6w plus 5w minus 10.
2W?
Of
Actually, no, 3W.
3w. Mm-hmm. And what would be left?
W minus 2.
Mm-hmm. And then from these two,
You can take up
5. Positive 5, which would leave us with?
W minus 2.
So then our two factors would be
3 minus 2 and 3W.
seven short. Does 7 have a GCF other than 1?
No.
No, GCF is 1. Multiply 4 and 1.
It's just 4.
It is this 4. So two numbers that multiply to be 4 but add to be negative 4.
Negative 5, 1.
Would that multiply to be 4? Say it louder. Negative 2 and would that multiply to be positive? Negative 2 times 1 gives you what? Would that give you 4? No. Negative 2 is one of them.
Plus 2. No. Negative 2.
So we both have to be negative, correct? Right, so negative 2a minus 2a plus 1. What do the first two have in common? 2a. Which would leave us with
2a.
minus
1.
1. What could we divide out of the second two?
1.
1 with negative. So that would leave us with
2a. Minus 1.
So then our two factors would be
2a minus 1. 2a minus 1.
or 2a, minus 1 squared. Either or. Before we jump into some harder examples, how do we feel about this process overall so far? Good? Okay, I just need some more practice. Not good, I don't understand this at all.
Second. This is just too much.
Okay. Those of you on your phone or not taking notes, that's probably you. So it does take practice. I've taught this for as long as I've been here. So, and factoring comes easier to me. but it does take practice. So for 10, does that have a GCF? Other than 1?
It feels like
You guys are like whispering.
2.
2 works, but it's not the highest. 4. Now you could have done it with 2 and then worked that out. With 10, I'm actually going to show you 2 different ways to do it, but we'll do it this way first. So if we divide 4 out of everything, what's left?
5n.
Squared minus
13n.
minus
6.
So then the inside piece is what we're looking for, and this looks just like what we were just doing, so we have to keep going. So now we're multiplying 5 and negative 6. Negative 30. The 2 numbers that multiply to get that, but add to be negative 13. Be careful here, because one of your factors has to be negative. Would that give you negative 13? You're close. There you go. So negative 15n plus 2n minus 6. Then you're going to split that middle. Keep bringing down your GCF. What could you divide out of 5n squared minus 15n? 5n. What would be left?
N
Minus,
N
not 3n, just 3. What could you divide out of these last 2?
2.
2, positive 2, and what would be left?
N minus 3.
So then when we write out all of our factors, keep bringing down that GCF. What would the other 2 factors be?
5n plus 2. And then n minus 3.
Yes. Good job. I know that was a lot. Right, so I'm going to show you another way to do that, but first, what questions do we have about that process? Really, it's the same as before. We just added an extra step. Write that same problem in your blank space on here. So I would not advise using this method, but sometimes you may forget, it may happen, so I'm going to show it to you anyway. Let's say you forget to take out a GCF. Then we're going to multiply 20 and negative 24.
Negative 480.
So we're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to be negative 480 and add to be negative 52. So I don't know about you guys, but I don't know the factors of 480 off the top of my head anyway. So you could either start at the bottom, start at 2, and keep going until you find something. That could be time consuming. Try to maybe guess a number and then work from there. Like this ends in 0. So I could say 5 would definitely work, but maybe I want to go higher and try 10 or 20. Let's try 10. Go with that. So off to the side, I'm going to list these out. I know 48 and 10 would give me 480. I'll worry about the negatives later. Did you make a pass already? So if I made one of those negative and added them together, would we get negative 52? No. We'd get either 32 or negative, 38 or negative 38, so no. So then from there you can either go up. Would that give you 480? Okay. And then you can either go up or down. So let's try, if we're starting at 10, go down. Does 9 work?
No.
Okay, what about 8?
60.
8 and 60, okay. If we made one of those negative, would we get negative 52?
Yeah.
Which one? Negative 8 plus 60 will give us negative 52? That's the same thing.
Negative 60.
Negative 60. Positive 8. There we go. Okay, so rewrite this like we're doing grouping. 20 n squared. Write that in that column. Minus 60n plus 8n minus 24. What do those first two have in common?
20.
20. 20
Oh, 20.
n. If we divided that out, what's left?
And minus 3.
Yes. What do these last two have in common?
8.
8. Positive 8. If we divide that out, what's left?
And minus 3.
3. Okay, so then what would those factors be?
20n plus 8 and minus 3.
Are both of these our final answers, or could we take something out of one of the factors? What could we take out of that first one? 4. Which would leave us with
5n plus 2 and n minus 3.
So you could do it this way. I'm not advising you to do it that way, because you're going to end up with really big numbers, and you're going to have to figure out the factors. But it will still work as long as you find that GCF at the end or whatever. Questions on that? So what I would suggest is look for your GCF first so you don't have to do this at the end. Because you may forget to do it at the end. Okay, let's do 11 and then we'll see if there's any others you want to see, go over, and then you have time to practice. GCF of 11. 5. If we divide them all by 5, what's left?
2k
Squared plus 15k plus 7. So then we are multiplying 2 and 7. What will that give us?
14.
15. Two numbers that multiply to be 14, but add to be 15. Remember, if those are close, one of your factors is going to be 1.
And 1.
Mm-hmm. Plus 14k plus 1k plus 7. Keep bringing down your DCF. What could you take out of those first two? 2k. What would be left?
K plus 7.
Mm-hmm. What could we take out of the last two? 1. Which will leave us with just k plus 7. So then how would we write our final answer?
I parentheses 2k plus 1 k plus 7.
What questions do we have on that one? That process? How we got the answer? Anything? And are there any others, 12 through 15, we want to see, go over, have questions about? Okay. GCF of 15.
3.
3, yes. Ethan, what did you say before? Oh. So if we divide them each by 3, what's left?
4 and squared.
4 and squared. Minus
8m minus 5.
So then we are multiplying 4 and negative 5.
That'd be negative 20.
The two numbers that multiply to be negative 20, but add to be negative 8.
The 10 and 2.
Which one would be negative?
The 2.
Would that give you negative 8?
The 10.
Negative 10. Always, if you're not sure, double check it in your calculator. So let's rewrite. 3 times 4m squared plus 2m. If you did it the other way, that's fine. Minus 10m minus 5. What could you take out of those first two?
2m.
2m. What would be left?
2m
Plus 1. What could you take out of the last two?
5.
Negative 5. Which would leave us with
2m plus 1.
So what would our final answers be?
3 parentheses 2m minus 5 and 2m plus 1.
So I'm going to give you the remainder of class time to practice. Practice the 3 Khan Academies that are due on this Friday. You didn't do last week's, do those two. You didn't do the week before that, do that one. So that's 6 total. After you've done at least this week's, you can practice more in these notes. Let me know if you have any questions. Use this time wisely.